system, we continue that process, and it gets worse and worse as our physical energy, our hormones, our cortisol, the inflammation all gets driven up as a result of these really, really stressful thoughts and pressures that we may be experiencing as well. So, yeah, there's a lot in burnout that absolutely impacts mental health in so many ways.
And also, I think at some point, as individuals, we don't, let's say, consider burnout as part of one of the things that affect our own mental well-being. The reason I'm saying this is the fact that from experience, I have been working tirelessly without not giving myself rest, and realizing that I'm having a burnout now, and having that mentality of saying no, it will pass. It's a temporary thing. Whereas, as I'm seeing it now, as I hear you talk in terms of how it really affects our mental well-being, I'm seeing it as a problem in a way of trying to solve it, trying to find ways to cope when it comes to burnout, and allowing myself to rest and allowing myself to say, no, it's all right now, take a little bit of rest and you will do it again. So I feel like, whereas when you have a company, and in that certain company, you are building it from the ground and you are alone, I feel like that's where burnout is most intense. So thank you so much for that. I seem seeing that we are out of time in terms of today's conversation, but before I let you go, what would you say to someone who is facing burnout, to someone who is suffering from grief and hasn't recovered from grief? What piece of advice would you give them?
I think burnout and grief actually feel like very similar experiences, simply, again, because our energy is so low at that particular time. We need to create a foundational pillar of physical health and well-being first, and very closely with that, potentially at the same time, be challenging the thoughts and the beliefs that are actually creating the issue in the first place. Or obviously that's a little bit different when it comes to grief. But particularly with burnout, the pressures that we put on ourselves when we feel like we're not enough, or we should be doing more, or all of those different pieces, we need to be challenging those beliefs and thoughts, because we can actually even be resting, laying on a lounge, and if you're in the experience of worry or stress, or thinking about all the things that you haven't done, or feeling guilty for resting, you will actually still continue to burn out. So, but the foundational pieces is really taking really good care of the body, like getting good quality sleep, and that's not always possible with burnout because of the cortisol levels and everything else, but focusing on those key pillars of physical health and well-being, eating good nutrition, not going for caffeine or for high sugar hits, which is, again, often a craving when it comes to burnout, which again exacerbates the issue, but eating well, sleeping well, getting adequate sunlight, taking time to rest, to connect, to play, to have fun. Often there's a deep level of seriousness when it comes to burnout. With grief, I honestly believe taking care of the physical body is, again, incredible. It's such a powerful way of supporting the mental and the emotional bodies when we're actually moving through that experience. And again, reaching out, having connection, speaking with people, and even, if people are in a position to get a level of support, having that support from somebody who has either experienced that themselves or is a professional in that particular field can be incredibly important, because many people that I've spoken to over the years haven't actually realized that they were in burnout until they had the conversation with me, or they saw one of my videos and they're like, oh my God, that's actually, I knew I wasn't okay, but I didn't know what was going on with me. And most people try and just keep pushing through. I've just got to get over this. I've just got to get on with things. I've just got to be more motivated. And it is honestly one of the worst things that you could do. And certainly coming from someone, myself, I was very highly self-motivated, very highly driven. And I thought the same. I thought, I just need to keep pushing. And until I literally got to the point, I'd been through burnout 2 other times, but this last time was by far the worst I'd ever been through. And it was because my body had actually stopped me and said, no more, you have to stop. And so that's eventually what happens if we're not taking that time to really listen to our body and be aware and give ourselves permission to rest and really ask ourselves, what is the whole purpose of what we're doing? If we're building an empire, is it for freedom? Is it for joy? Is it for fun? Is it for financial security? And I totally get how sometimes that can be very stressful and a big driver for people that they feel they can't rest. But from a law of attraction perspective, that contraction, that fear only creates more of the same, as opposed to coming back to our hearts and experiencing joy and creating what it is that we want to create in our life from that particular place as well. So that's a lot of what I teach and support my clients with, and certainly it's made a massive difference in my life and my clients' lives over the years.